When most people think of paranormal experiences in the middle of the ocean, ships and airplanes disappearing without a trace, aliens, and monsters, the first place people think of is the Bermuda Triangle. But there is a place that is even more surrounded in mystery on the other side of the world, with more than double the recorded disappearances of the Bermuda Triangle. This place is called the Dragon's Triangle. The Dragon's Triangle is polar opposite on the globe to the Bermuda Triangle at 35 degrees on the latitude line, located just south of Japan. With an area of 500,000 square miles, navigators and ships at sea have reported for thousands of years loss of ships, compass navigations, and strange objects flying out of the water. In 1274, the Mongol Empire had conquered almost all of Asia. They set their sights on neighboring Japan. The Mongols assembles 900 ships with roughly 40,000 troops to do the job. Victory looked assured. Suddenly, halfway through the voyage, the skies turned from blue to black in minutes, and a massive typhoon that appeared seemingly out of nowhere in the Dragon's Triangle destroyed the entire fleet. In 1281, the Mongols tried once again, with a bigger force of 3,000 ships and 140,000 troops, with the same result. Another typhoon hit the fleet, taking out half of the invasion force as well as most of the ships, to which Khan's forces retreated and would not attempt the voyage again. But paranormal events go back even further than that. Some of the oldest of the Japanese legends have stated that a dragon lives in the sea, and it sometimes comes up out of the water to drag an unsuspecting ship down to its underwater den, giving this place the name the Dragon's Triangle. People now speculate that those dragons of old were actually unidentified aircraft, and that has been the source of the paranormal phenomenon over the past thousands of years. Many scientists and oceanologists know that there is something strange happening in both the Bermuda and Dragon's Triangle, but haven't been able to do more than speculate what the cause is. Both of these triangles have deep, unexplored waters that put off magnetic fields that can put off compasses up to 20 degrees, causing ship and airplane navigation equipment to read wrong or fail entirely. But could it be something more sinister than just a strange natural magnetic field? Today we're going to try and find out. Many ships to this very day report seeing UFOs come out of the water and circle their vessel while all their navigation equipments go crazy. The UFO circles around the ship, causing giant tidal waves, and then after about 10 to 15 minutes of circling, drops back in the sea with a monstrous tidal wave that usually takes out the ship. Ufologists believe that there is an underwater USO base in the Dragon's Triangle. Research vessels have attempted to get to the bottom of these mysteries quite literally with sonar equipment, but the magnetic fields throw off the readings, not allowing oceanologists to see the bottom. But aliens are not all the triangle is known for. The Flying Dutchman is reported to roam these waters. June 11, 1881. A British warship, HMS Brishand, encountered the Flying Dutchman late at night in the deepest part of the triangle. A naval prince, who would later become England's King George V, was aboard. He recorded this entry in the ship's log.
The Flying Dutchman crossed their bows. She emitted a strange phosphorescent light as of a phantom ship. All aglow, she came up on the port bow, where also the officer for the watch for the bridge saw her. But on arrival there was no vestige or any sign whatever of any material ship to be seen, either near or right away to the horizon. The night became clear, the sea calm.
Many paranormal researchers believe that the Flying Dutchman is responsible for one of the most reoccurring paranormal experiences in the Dragon's Triangle: ghost ships. Many ghost ships have been found in the triangle for hundreds of years. Ships that have no people, no cargo, or even standard equipment necessary for a vessel to roam the seas. To this day, 2 to 3 ghost ships show up off the coast of Japan from all different eras, and nobody knows quite why. Some speculate that the Flying Dutchman takes the crews of these ships to add to their own undead crew. But one thing is for sure, something strange is happening in these waters. Ships that do report back from the Dragon's Triangle usually talk about a very strange phenomena, where even the time-space continuum ceases to work properly. Boats and airplanes report moving far off course in the matter of seconds. The Dragon's Triangle causes changes in the space-time continuum, making ships move miles away and clocks change time in an instant. One famous account of this was in the late 1950s from the radio and television entertainer Arthur Godfrey, who was flying his own personal aircraft over the Dragon's Triangle while he was on his all-around-the-world tour. He claimed to see a UFO while flying over the Dragon's Triangle, which suddenly flew beside him and kept pace. At this time, all of the instruments on his plane went dead, including his compass and distress radio, so he had to navigate his way back with only the use of the sun. He had fuel for 3 hours. After an hour, he regained course and his instruments came back on. But Godfrey claimed he watched the clocks go backward for a half hour, making him go back in time. His fuel also reflected this, taking an hour and a half worth of fuel instead of just 1 hour. Godfrey was one of the lucky ones. Here are just a few reports of the missing. January 1989, a small fishing boat is found bobbing erratically in the water. The crew and cargo were missing except for the body of the captain still gripping the helm. Cause of death unknown. April 19, 1949, Kuroshio Maru No. 1 disappears with crew of 23. June 8, 1952, 29 crew members of the Chifuku Maru 5 disappear, leaving an empty vessel. June 26, 1955, USAF F-38 aircraft loses contact with base and its 2-man crew disappears. March 12, 1957, 8 crew aboard USAF transport vessel disappear. Ship is found abandoned. June 7th, 1963, Dana and Maru is found floating vacant. In September 24th, 1952, Kayu Maru No. 5 research vessel was deployed to search for a reason to the disappearing ships. While keeping in constant radio contact with Japan, disappears without warning with a crew of 22 and 9 scientists. Perhaps the most famous event of the Dragon's Triangle is the disappearance of Amelia Earhart. July 2nd, 1937, Amelia and navigator Fred left New Guinea on the last leg of an all-around-the-world flight. Their flight plan would take them over the Dragon's Triangle to Howland Island, 2,500 miles away to refuel. The last transmission received from Earhart:
I look eastward over the Pacific. I shall be glad when we have the hazards of its navigation behind us.
This was the last radio contact from Earhart. They never made it to Howland Island. Her compass and instruments went down and she was never seen again. This remains a very large mystery to this day. So where does this leave scientists? Well, some scientists have a theory. Underneath the triangle is a bunch of undersea volcanoes, and those volcanoes produce methane gas bubbles, which too many bubbles underneath a ship have been proven to be enough to sink it. If a volcano erupts under the sea close enough to the surface and your ship sails over it, it could cause turbulence or even sink because of all the methane gas bubbles that are in the water. And the methane gas bubbles takes away a ship's buoyancy. So what about the planes? Some volcanoes, especially the ones on land, can toss up gases and volcanic matter all the way up to the stratosphere, which could clog up the engines on airplanes. Bullshit! Yeah, a lot of people are buying this. Even the bubble sinking ship theory. Bubble physicist Helen Zursky claims this is false. She claims there simply would not be enough bubbles or big enough bubbles, and even if there were, she claims it would push the ship up, not take it down, and the ship would simply move out of the way of the bubble's path. Now comes what I think. Is it bubbles, volcanoes, aliens, sea monsters, or even dragons? This was a tough one. I gotta say that there's definitely something going on, and until we get to the bottom of this, and I really mean exploring the bottom of these places, I don't think we will have an answer. It is very strange that these two triangles are literally on the opposite sides of the planet from each other. I mean, it would make sense if it was just a magnetic field because of the fact that they are polar opposite. It just goes down through the Earth and the other side. But aliens would make sense for the disappearances of people and just leaving these ghost ships with absolutely no signs of life. What would make the people just abandon ship, and where would they go? It's pretty fishy, pun intended. But enough of what I think. What do you think? Leave your answer in the comments below. Did I miss anything big? Leave that down there too. Tell me what I fucked up. Anyways, as always, I'm Alex. We do all the research so you don't have to. If you want to see more content like this, consider subscribing. And I hope you all have a fantastic day.
I'ma go as hard as I can.